Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk.
916, getting down with fresh out prison talk. Are any of you guys out there familiar with Operation Honey Trapping? It's an intelligence information technique and practice that was utilized by the British Secret Service and also the CIA, and I would imagine the Mossad, to get information through the use of sexual favors. You can look it up, man. The term honey trap is also used when dating sites are used to gain access to victims. Private investigators are often employed to create a honey pot by wives, husbands, and other partners, usually when an illicit romantic affair is suspected of the target or subject of the investigation. Occasionally, a term may be used for the practice of creating an affair for the purpose of taking incriminating photos for use in blackmail. A honey trap is used primarily to collect evidence on the subject of the honey trap. Honey trapping is also used in getting new user addicted to illegal drugs and also for drug smuggling. So that's Wikipedia. So honey trapping, think about it, right? What do you think a lot of these podcasts are on social media? Do you not think they're some form of a honey trapping? When you listen to some of the questions that are asked, and mind you, these popular podcasts, they're not making these guys go on there and tell their business. They're not, forcing them to give up the goods on the homies or the hood or prior criminal activity. The participants are going on these podcasts as though they've been awarded a grand prize to spill the beans. These dudes are going on there and they're bragging about things they got away with, or they're lying because they want people to look at them some kind of way, and they want the views. They want the likes and the follows so they can come back and tell more on themselves. If you haven't caught on by now, you've been in the dark, man. You don't remember AR app going on the platform talking about how you hooked up with the plug and how much money you made? You don't know about KPD bragging about details of the Tupac murder? Now you see what's going on with Loose Cannon and these other guys from the 60s, talking about different things on these podcasts for the sake of content. Now, fresh out, I interview people, but I tell them, man, give up the real as far as letting these youngsters know that the game is bullshit. Don't glorify it, man, because if you did 20 years and you're glorifying it, you're an idiot. If you're glorifying the 20, if you could have built a corporation over 20 years, you glorify that, but you don't glorify prison time. If anything, you talk about it so that you can set an example, and at the end of the day, be like, man, I lost a good part of my life in there. Because you do. Another thing that should have put you guys up on game is when you see these clowns that aren't really street dudes and you're trying to bring them in like they got hood credibility. Do you not forget about how Tekashi, he was embraced by those Bloods, and he turned around and they had SUVs and different cars that were that were wired and they were getting all these guys' conversations and he took down some real ones? Shoddy and some of them other cats? Did you not? I mean, and everybody like, oh, his music was hard. His music was, you're looking at listening to the music, but you're talking about a buster. You're talking about somebody that would never do nothing in the streets, and you put yourself in bed with this guy, and look how many people he took down. Now you got these other guys, and like I said, these podcasts you go on, these dudes, you don't know who's backing them, and I'll tell you why. Because see, my podcast doesn't get pushed in the algorithm like that. I don't get the 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 uh the endorsements with, some people say they don't even know I still make videos over on Fresh Out because they don't get the notices because I debunk a lot of the bullshit. And I don't ever tell you to talk about shit you didn't get caught for. Why would you come on here and talk about shit that you got away with to try to make it sound like you're a tough guy? That's stupid, man. That is stupid. Another thing is, you guys are in these studios, they get you comfortable, right? With the weed, with the drink. Maybe they have some females over there. You guys start pillow talking off camera. You don't know if those places are wired. Do you think about that? You're talking all that shit, and you got your weed, and you're feeling yourself, and you're telling war stories. Do you not think that they might have a wire up in there? That they run in some type of counterintelligence? Why not? It's easy targets. Take all these gangster rapper dudes off the street, hood dudes, get them up off of there. Let them hang out at your studio as much as possible. We're gonna wire this whole thing up. How do you think they got John Gotti? Those were wire taps inside a restaurant that they had got access to, through which I believe was, I can't remember the person who was the tenant living in the in that same building above his social club, but they wired that and they were able to hear all his conversations. They had hours and hours before they snatched him up. Come on, man. You guys are just like, you don't read any mafia books. You haven't read any government intelligence books. You haven't really studied anything about law and how this shit works and how the intricacies of espionage work. And so you just go in these places blind, and you're thinking, oh man, I'm a gangster, I'm a street dude. Nah, man, you running blind, and they're gonna split your wig. And when they come, they're gonna make sure they have enough to where they done built up a stack of information. So when you get your discovery, it's gonna be like 1,000 pages. Dudes ain't thinking. They go on these podcasts, and it's a honeypot situation. And instead of using sex, they just use social media fame. But they might throw some sex in there too. They might say, "Hey, man, you could bust her cheeks, and get you all comfortable, and have her talking to you. Oh, how many dudes you done knocked down? Or, ooh, I like a dude who's got a body. You ain't nobody unless you got a body. Yeah, idiot." Talk about the bodies you got away with. And I know there's a lot of dudes, unsolved murders, because I've been around dudes and they're scared to death. They get caught up for drug charges, and they're afraid to get a superseding indictment for a murder. Because a murder can carry all day, depending on the circumstances. All day. So do your homework, man. I don't know if this is gonna be a wake-up call, but you can come on Fresh Out and keep it 100 and let these youngsters know that the game is done, that it ain't worth it. And if you're doing anything legit, you need to flip it into real estate, a legitimate business, or something that's a trade so you can build for you and your family. Or you can keep talking about the bullshit and bragging about shit that you thought you got away with, that you had got away with, but you decided to tell on yourself because you talk too much. And a lot of these people you run around with, they're probably wired up. Wired up. Big Kirk 916, Fresh Out.